had more than 3 people here today. I thought by the time when I saw the lineup, I thought by the time comes to my turn, there will be 3 people.
We are all here with some today.
Fantastic, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Dr. Geraldine Tan. I'm the founder of the Green and Purple Movement. We set up Edible Gardens as a platform to engage persons with special needs, and as a bonus, I can engage the elderly as well. So, what's with the title Decoding a Social Entrepreneur's Mind? When people hear the words social entrepreneur, they often imagine someone who's incredibly kind, someone who's endlessly selfless, willing to sacrifice everything for a cause. Some even think we're slightly crazy. They're not entirely wrong. Today, I'd like to take you on the journey of a social entrepreneur. So imagine your brain has 2 voices constantly arguing. One says, "That doesn't make financial sense." The other replies, "But imagine how many lives it could change." So many people stop at the first voice, but social entrepreneurs cannot ignore the second. But there is significant challenge when our social mission sits on top of your financial KPIs. Yeah? When COVID hit, we were 5 years into the business and we were just starting to make a profit. In other words, at the end of 2019, we sat down, we did our financials and we said, wow, after 4 years of being in the red, by next year, if we carry on this trajectory, we will be finally in the black. And then next year, what happened? Wow, I tell you, it damn near killed us. So, one mindset of social entrepreneurs is that I think we're incredibly resilient, or we're stubborn, or if you use the words of Sebastian, I think he said something about cockroaches. So anyway, you know, we couldn't, as a social enterprise, when COVID hit, we couldn't, while businesses to the left and right of us were actually getting rid of their staff, telling staff to stay home and things like that. We couldn't do that as a social enterprise because if I tell my special needs, stay home, what's going to happen to them? They're going to deteriorate very rapidly. And who knows what will they become by the time the situation normalizes. Yeah? So what to do? Bite the bullet, continue to be in the red. Right? But I think after a number of years of being in the red, we realized how and we learned how to create a sustainable business. It was through some miracle that our business survived COVID. When we were on our last payroll run that I could possibly afford, and I had already used up all my savings. So company's bank account was almost zero, my personal bank account was almost zero. So I was like, okay, this is going to be the last payroll run, and then after this, we close shop, and then I relax, and then when things normalize again, I go back to my 5-figure salary corporate world. No, that didn't happen. I got a call by DBS Foundation, and then they said, Jerry, can you help us? I said, in my mind, I was thinking, I help you, who's going to help me? But then I thought, hey, no, I'll say yes. I said yes even before they asked me what they wanted help with. And it turned out that they wanted help in producing 400 to 500 bento boxes of lunch and dinner every day to be given out to the rental flats and the people who were struggling. And this was paid for by DBS Foundation. And that's how we survived COVID miraculously. So, so that was our very, very painful lesson, I think, but it was a lesson that taught me I have to stick it out. Yeah, so about 3 years ago, I set up the Green and Purple movement. Why? Because 3 years ago, sustainability was a hot button topic. It was the in thing. And I was also receiving a lot of special needs who had tactile issues and weren't able to survive in a kitchen environment. So I set up the Green and Purple movement. And so we get special needs who are so scared of touching, let's say, marinating a chicken or whatever. But if you make them do horticulture, they shine. Suddenly, their disability becomes their superpower. So what we have learned is that when you are engaging with people with disabilities, right? Don't look at their disability. There's no point. People ask, what can they do? I don't ask that. Because what we should be asking is, what can they do? And if you ask yourself, what can they do, or what can I create that they can do, then you will see that there are limitless opportunities. So with the Green and Purple movement, we've now even set up a garden to table specialist training. In other words, we don't just train the special needs to work in the garden. Because if he only works in the garden and he only learns horticulture, he comes out, he can only work for urban farmers, and they are going bankrupt quite quickly these days. Or landscapers. And landscapers, you're competing with the foreign nationals. So they can't find jobs in horticulture. Then if you give them training only in food and beverage, they can only do cook work, or usually when they end up in the F&B environment, they end up being the dishwasher, right? So that's not something that we want either. So what we want to do is to create limitless opportunities for them. In other words, we give them training in horticulture and then in the food and beverage. So they become garden to table specialists. So imagine my special needs now. They are more than able to seed Italian sweet basil, tend the garden to grow the Italian sweet basil, harvest the Italian sweet basil, and then, next step, prepare the pesto from the basil, and then cook basil pesto pasta and serve it. Yeah? So, this is what we call limitless opportunities. So, this is what we aim to achieve as a social entrepreneur, where people see the negatives and the question mark as to whether they can do anything. We see what are the possibilities. Yeah. So I just like to end this by acknowledging my Rara squad, including one of my champions who has come to support me today. Jude and Julian, say hi. Jude is my intern. Julian is his mother. And Jude has just completed his internship with us, and he plans to continue working with us even after. So, and he has learned how to work from garden to table, right up to serving. Yeah. So he is on our latest, I think on YouTube. Yeah, Julian. I think so. Yeah. So we have featured him on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to go in and subscribe and like. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.